Hi guys, this is Knox from GameBeatDotNet and from NoxTech.com. I think it's come time to give my final opinion on the Canon Powershot SX20 IS. As you guys know, I've been working with the camera for almost a month now, 3 weeks thereabouts, and I had a good chance to check out all the features and put it through some good use and abuse, and take plenty of pictures and God knows plenty of video. So I'm going to try and narrow this down so it'll fit into a 10-minute time frame, but you'll have to pardon me if it doesn't. The date today is Monday, May 17th, 2010, just so you know. So, like I said, I purchased the SX20 IS from Canon 3 weeks ago, and my previous camera was a Panasonic Lumix FZ28, which was a 10.1 megapixel ultra zoom, 18 times optical zoom, decent camera, but it had its shortcomings. So now we'll talk about this camera, and I want to get the bad stuff out of the way first, because I feel like that's what I need to do while it's fresh in my mind. For one thing, the camera has, the SX20 IS has image stabilization that I would call quite inferior, at least when compared to the image stabilization, or what Panasonic calls Mega OIS, that's on their series of cameras. Compared to my previous camera, which is a camera that's almost 3 years old now, sorry, the optical image stabilization on the Canon Powershot SX20 IS is almost shamefully inferior. It's there, you notice that it's there, but it does not do nearly as good a job as the system that Panasonic uses. They're both gyroscopic OIS optical image stabilization techniques, but Canon's, for whatever reason, is a lot less aggressive, and you can really notice it when you're trying to take zoom in on objects and take either photos or video on the high end of the telephoto range. There's just no other way to put it. Without, zoom all the way into 20 times zoom, which is a very nice, and that's one of the camera's strong suits. You need to make sure that you take several shots, because odds are 9 out of 10, unless you have a super bright lit situation, they're going to be blurry as hell, motion blur, because that optical image stabilization just does not do as good a job as it did on the Panasonic. It's really a shame, because I would have expected this technology to come further and to be a lot more aggressive coming from Canon, who are pretty much leading the industry or one of the industry leaders in digital cameras. Panasonic is almost unheard of, except among a few enthusiasts, so again, it's a real shame. Let's see. Some of the, it's really hard to find bad things about the camera, but there are a few that bother me. There is some zoom motor noise. Now, Canon does a good job of, just like most other ultra zoom cameras in the prosumer range, it will let you zoom while you're videoing, while you're shooting video. But it does cut down the speed of the zoom motor. The Canon Powershot SX20 IS has a 3-speed zoom motor, which has been standard on Canon cameras for, Canon prosumer cameras for many years now, ever since the original S1 IS and S3 IS. During video, Canon cuts that speed down to only 2 stages. The 3rd stage is not available because it makes too much noise. With that being said, even the 2nd stage is audible, depending on the situation and how quiet whatever room you're in, or how quiet it is in the area that you're videotaping. You will get some noise on the playback when you go back to playback the video. It's not overly obnoxious, but it's there. Especially when using the 2nd stage, which is the fastest zoom available during video recording. The zoom motor is quite noisy when you're just shooting photos. Of course, it can shoot from a wide angle to all the full telephoto in maybe a second. When you have the trigger pushed all the way, it definitely can shoot that lens out really fast, but it is very loud. This, of course, hasn't changed. It's been this way for most of the Canon cameras, so it's not really a fault, I wouldn't say. One thing that does concern me, 2 things that do concern me, actually, is one, if you shut the power off to the camera while you're shooting a video, the camera does not end the video file gracefully like it should. So what you will wind up with is a useless video file, a corrupt video file. Now you can go in with some AVI repair tools or whatever and try and recover that video, but the bottom line is, if you shut the camera off while you're shooting a video, instead of closing the end of the video file like it should and shutting the camera down, it just shuts the camera down and trashes the video. Just leaves the end of the video hanging, so you end up getting a corrupt video file. At first I thought this was the fault of the memory card, maybe, or a battery problem, but I've narrowed it down. It's the camera, and it does it. I can repeat it every single time. This is a really, really glaring bug, because I was used to, with the Panasonic FC28, I was used to ending a video recording just by turning the camera off much of the time. So to be forced to, press the record button to end the video recording and then turn the power off is a little annoying, I have to say. That's a glaring firmware issue that should have been taken care of before the camera was even sent to store shelves, in my opinion. And we don't seem to be seeing any firmware updates from Canon posted at all. Granted, it's a fairly new camera. I guess it's about almost a year old now. So we should have seen something by now. Oh, one more bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is inferior, I think, inferior to the Panasonic, in that in very low light situations, Canon doesn't use any noise filtering on their video and on their photos, so you tend to get a lot of noise. This is a good thing and a bad thing, because with the other cameras like the Panasonic that I'm comparing it to, in low light, in a similar situation, there's less noise apparent, but what you don't realize, or a lot of people don't realize, is that the camera ends up doing a little bit of post-processing work there, where it does some noise reduction and ends up blurring the details.